Drinking and Driving Laws, Driving While Under the Influence of Alcohol, Part 1. Driving after intoxication is a serious offense. Additionally, it is among the most foolish and hazardous things a person might do. Driving safely involves not just dexterous hands and feet, but also clear thinking, composure, and excellent judgment. Even when a driver follows all the proper instructions, they still run the risk of being in a collision or crash since the roads in our country are fundamentally dangerous. The danger of harm or death you would normally face increases if you get behind the wheel while intoxicated. Even in relatively tiny amounts, alcohol's effects on your body and mind will prevent you from being able to operate a vehicle safely. A person who decides to drive while intoxicated would be incredibly lucky to arrive at their destination unharmed. Driving while intoxicated, DUI, is prohibited and carries severe penalties. Unfortunately, the law alone is insufficient to stop people from driving after drinking. Around 30% of all traffic accidents in the U.S. occur each year as a result of drunk driving. 10,497 people perished in totally avoidable drunk driving accidents in 2016. You must be aware of the risk that alcohol poses to your safety and the safety of other road users as a new driver. You would be foolish to drive while intoxicated, even if you are over 21 and legally permitted to do so. Even if you don't breach the law, you will still put your own safety in peril because drinking is never a good idea. The majority of people have at least a basic awareness of how drinking alcohol can affect their ability to drive temporarily. Nevertheless, many believe that as long as they sober up before driving, drinking is safe. This misguided school of thought utterly ignores the long-term dangers of routine alcohol use. Regular drinking causes a progressive loss in mental, physical, and emotional health, as you'll learn later in this video. If you start drinking regularly, your driving abilities and safety will be far worse than they are now 5 years from now. Who is most susceptible to DUI? Any driver who is intoxicated will be risky, regardless of how long they have been behind the wheel. Teenagers and young adults, however, are more prone to decide to drive while intoxicated and are consequently more likely to sustain injuries or lose their lives in an alcohol-related collision. Teenagers experience the awful double burden of having a lower tolerance for the effects of alcohol and a higher propensity for binge drinking. It is not surprising that car accidents are the nation's #1 killer of minors, and that alcohol impairment is frequently to blame for these tragic events. Over the previous 10 years, research has revealed the following. Drivers between the ages of 16 and 20 are 10 times more likely than drivers over the age of 21 to be in a fatal collision. Despite making up only 10% of all licensed drivers in the United States, drivers under the age of 21 are involved in 17% of all fatal collisions involving alcohol. In 2011, around 1 million high school students admitted to driving while intoxicated. The second highest risk group for being involved in a fatal traffic collision is drivers between the ages of 21 and 24. A BAC of 0.08% or more was present in 32% of drivers aged 21 to 24 who were involved in fatal incidents in 2012, over the legal limit. Between 2015 and 2016, the number of teenage drivers involved in fatal collisions increased by 3.6% annually. Alcohol was a factor in more than one-third of these collisions. Laws prohibiting drunk driving. The laws regarding DUI are essentially the same from coast to coast, despite the fact that the punishments for drinking and driving vary considerably from state to state. Any driver over the age of 21 who has a blood alcohol content, BAC, of 0.08% or above is not allowed to operate a motor vehicle. The term motor vehicle is legally defined in the majority of states to encompass automobiles, pickup trucks, bicycles, motorbikes, snowmobiles, jet skis, and golf carts. Horse-drawn carriages are also subject to this law in some places. Almost every state in America has a zero-tolerance policy that applies to drivers under the age of 21. This means that minors who have a blood alcohol content of 0.01% or above are not allowed to drive. The penalty for breaking this legislation are severe, and your license will probably be suspended. The majority of states also set lower BAC limits for drivers of both commercial trucks and passenger cars. This restriction is typically set at 0.04%. Your driver's manual contains current and accurate information on the DUI regulations in your state. Recognizing the dangers. Understanding the dangers of alcohol consumption is the main focus of this crucial topic. It is insufficient to just understand that driving while inebriated is never a good idea, as millions of people continue to do so every year despite being certified drivers. Even if you believe you would never cross that line, alcohol is a deadly drug that can affect your mind, personality, and judgment to the point where you might decide to drink and drive. As soon as you take your first drink, you start to experience the negative symptoms of alcohol intoxication. It is not enough to keep your blood alcohol level below the legal limit to remain safe.